All right, so we're kicking off this deep dive, and well, you want to make some money, right?
Always a good goal.
Yeah, who doesn't? And but you don't want to, just throw it into whatever you want. Actually, do some good with it too, right?
Invest with a conscience, right?
Exactly. So we're looking at how to do that, how to make some smart investments that actually contribute to a better future.
And the good news is those two things are lining up better than ever.
Yeah, that's what's got us so excited. 2025 looks like it's going to be the year for that, like where that vision really takes off.
It really does. Sustainability is not just a buzzword anymore. It's driving some major financial trends.
That's what we're diving into today, the
Yep.
top green investment opportunities out there.
We'll get into specifics too, some really promising companies, and
Ooh, maybe even uncover some hidden gems along the way.
gotta love those.
All right, so first up, renewable energy. I mean, we all know solar and wind are booming, right?
Absolutely.
But get this, they're actually projected to really outperform traditional energy stocks.
Yeah.
Some reports even say annual returns could hit double digits.
Yeah, the potential there is huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
So what's driving all this growth? I mean,
Well, for one thing, governments all over the world are cracking down with stricter environmental regulations.
makes sense.
And on top of that, you've got the public pushing for cleaner energy too.
Yeah, everybody wants to feel good about where their energy's coming from.
Exactly. And that's translating to massive investments flowing into renewables.
It's like a perfect storm for growth,
Yeah,
right?
you could say that.
Okay, so I was reading about a company developing next generation solar panels,
Oh, yeah.
and they're claiming they're 30% more efficient.
Wow. 30%. That's a game changer if they can pull it off.
Right. So could this be like the next big thing for investors? And who else is out there doing this kind of cutting edge stuff?
There are a handful of companies really pushing the boundaries in solar tech. We're seeing cool advancements in thin film solar cells.
Those are the ones that are more flexible, right?
Yeah, exactly. Much more versatile. And then there's bifacial panels. They can actually capture sunlight from both sides.
Whoa, double the power.
Exactly. Boosting energy production like crazy.
Okay, so speaking of game changers, we got to talk about electric vehicles.
Oh, yeah. EVs are unstoppable.
Right. The market's just exploding. But what I find really interesting is what's happening with the batteries.
The stuff that powers it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I think there's massive potential for investors.
The race to develop better, more sustainable EV batteries, that's where it's at.
I was reading about venture capitalists pouring money into startups focusing on solid-state batteries.
Solid-state batteries are like the holy grail of EV battery tech.
Really? What makes them so special?
Well, they offer higher energy density, faster charging, and they're way safer than traditional lithium-ion batteries.
That's pretty amazing.
The challenge is scaling production, making them commercially viable.
Right. But once they figure that out,
Look out.
what about lithium recycling? I keep hearing about that too.
That's huge. We got to address the growing demand for lithium and create a sustainable supply chain for these batteries.
Makes sense.
Mm.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Talk about something that might surprise some folks, sustainable real estate.
Yeah, not what you typically think of when you hear green investments.
Right, but it's a rapidly growing sector.
People want eco-friendly buildings, and that's creating a really unique opportunity.
So we're talking buildings designed with energy efficiency in mind.
Renewable materials, smart technology to minimize their impact.
And this isn't just some passing trend, is it?
It's a total shift in how we think about building and living spaces.
The sources we were looking at mentioned LED certification. What is that exactly?
LED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
Catchy.
It's a globally recognized green building rating system, so it provides a framework for creating healthy, efficient, and cost-saving green buildings.
So why does that matter to investors?
Well, investors love LE-certified buildings because they mean lower operating costs, higher tenant satisfaction, and of course, a smaller environmental impact.
It was good for the planet and good for your wallet.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, now this next area is a little more complex, but bear with me because it's fascinating. Carbon credits.
Ah, yes, carbon credit.
It's basically a way for companies to offset their emissions, right? By investing in projects that reduce carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Think of it like a market-based approach to fighting climate change.
So companies that go over their emissions limits can buy carbon credits from those who've been able to reduce their emissions.
Exactly. It incentivizes investment in clean energy reforestation, all those good things.
Some experts are even comparing investing in carbon credits to the early days of the internet.
There's definitely a lot of buzz around it.
So for those of us wanting to get in early, any advice on where to look?
Well, it's still a developing market for sure, but there's huge potential. Keep an eye on startups developing carbon capture technology.
That's the stuff that directly removes CO2 from the atmosphere, right?
Exactly, cutting edge stuff. And also look at platforms that facilitate carbon credit trading. They're the ones connecting buyers and sellers.
Okay, so do your research.
Absolutely. Due diligence is key in this space.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about ESG funds.
ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance.
So these funds let you invest in companies with strong sustainability practices and ethical business conduct.
Right. A way to really align your investments with your values.
I've heard these funds are actually outperforming a lot of traditional investments. Is that true?
Many ESG funds are showing really strong performance. They invest in companies across all sorts of sectors as long as they meet certain ESG criteria.
So what kind of companies are we talking about?
Could be renewable energy companies, those committed to fair labor practices, businesses with strong corporate governance, all kinds of things.
So it sounds like there's a lot to be excited about in the world of green investing.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about all this. You can potentially grow your wealth and help build a more sustainable future at the same time.
So as you're thinking about your investment goals, which of these areas really speaks to you?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think we have the power to not only make money, but also actively shape the future we want to see.
And it seems like the future is looking pretty bright for those who are willing to embrace sustainability.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.